Well, good morning, everybody. There's one question I've got to ask Hugh. Hugh, is that CEO job still available? Did y'all hear that salary? That's unbelievable. You know, first I want to say how much I appreciate this opportunity to be before you. So thank you to East AlabamaWorks and Ron Davis with AAMA for this opportunity to be before you. Truly, these are remarkable times that we're going through right now in the state of Alabama. So on behalf of Governor Kay Ivey, who's my boss, these are really exciting times in the state of Alabama. So my portion of today's agenda is going to focus on three things. One, we're going to talk about the turnaround story with Alabama's economy. Two, we'll talk about some things that we see trending in our workforce. And then I'll end up by talking about some challenges in our workforce. So with that, let's talk about Alabama's turnaround story. I mentioned the word earlier about how remarkable things are in terms of economic and workforce development in the state of Alabama. The times that we're experiencing right now are revolutionary. I've got a couple of slides that we're going to sort of focus on to show you where we were back at the start of the recession compared to where we are today. Now I know everybody in this room, much like I was coming up through school, we loved getting our report card. Some of us may not have loved getting our report card, but I love getting my report card. This slide here kind of speaks to our report card since the Great Recession. The key metrics are in the middle. The graphics to the left will kind of identify on where we were at the height of the recession, and then the the graphic to the right will talk about where we are currently. So we'll start by saying in October of 2009, the unemployment rate for the state was 11.8%. Can you imagine? 11.8% in October of 2009. In July of 2019, we just released the July unemployment rate, which is at a historic low of 3.3%. Never in the history of the state of Alabama has our unemployment rate been at this historic low, especially when you compare it to the national unemployment rate, which is 3.7%. What that means is we're 0.4% lower than the United States rate. In my wildest dreams, I never thought that we'd be in the same conversation in terms of where we are with our rate compared to where we are right now. Over the month, when you look at the counties' rates, all counties in the state of Alabama, from a year-to-date standpoint, has experienced declines in the unemployment rate. Month over the month, 64 counties had a decline in the unemployment rate out of 67 counties. Now that's big, that's huge, especially when I look back when I first came into my appointed role, which was 1,825 days ago. Yeah, I'm counting, okay? We've been working hard. The state's unemployment rate was 6.9% in August of 2014. And for us to be at 3.3% is truly remarkable. And there was a lot of sweat equity that went into that. Right now, the collaboration between public and private partnerships could not be any better. And I owe that to Team Ivy, my boss. We call it Team Ivy because the collaboration, everybody's coming together with one common goal, and that is to make sure that we provide opportunities for people that's looking for work. 3.3%. We also documented that there are 75,000 people as unemployed. Also a historic low. Never in the history of the state of Alabama have we had this fewer people that we documented as unemployed. 75,000. Now certainly we've identified that there's a large percentage of people in that number of 75,000 that are facing barriers to get into the workforce. And that's why the WIA programs are so important. That's why the work that AIDT does is so important, because these individuals are facing barriers to get into the workforce. How many of us have heard the comment that says, if anybody wants a job right now, can get one? Let me see a show of hands of who's heard that. I want to see them lifted high. This is kind of like school, okay? Thank you, Kevin Taylor. That hand was up really, really high. It's true. People right now who want a job can get one. And so again, we are focusing on in our workforce groups the people that are unemployed, trying to figure out how we knock down barriers to get them back into the workforce. And what we're doing is working. The second metric is our wage and salary employment, which we announced to be over 2 million. Never in the history of the state of Alabama have we had more people that have jobs right now than ever in any time in our history. Over 2 million. When you compare that to the same time period a year ago, there's 40,000 more jobs available now than it was same time period for July. I'm going to give myself a hand on that one. Now, one metric that I don't have documented on this slide, and that has to do with the number of people that are working in the state of Alabama. And yes, there's a common theme here. Here it goes again. Never in the history of the state of Alabama have we had this many people working in the state of Alabama. 2,171,972. And yes, I count every last one of them. 57,000 more people are working right now compared to the same time period versus a year ago. It's tremendous. People, again, who are wanting jobs are finding jobs. It's also a sign that employers have a tremendous amount of confidence in the economy, and they're hiring at a rapid clip. So again, wage and salary, which represents jobs, is at an all-time high, over 2 million. The number of people that are reported as working, 2,171,972. It's the highest number ever in the history of the state of Alabama. Tremendous gains in both categories. The next metric speaks to initial claims file. Some of you may not know, but one of the state programs that we run at the Alabama Department of Labor is the unemployment insurance program. So if someone loses their job through no fault of their own, we provide weekly benefits. So if you look at the graphic to the left, in December of 2008, initial claims filed was 66,249. Fast forward to July of 2019, initial claims filed was 13,279. That's a direct correlation with the number of people that are actually working right now. The more people that are working, there's less people that are filing initial claims for unemployment benefits. And that's a huge benefit if you are an employer, because the employers pay into the unemployment compensation trust fund. At the height of the recession in 2009, the Alabama Department of Labor borrowed $574 million to pay off all the claims because of the flood of people in the market not working. Borrowed it from the federal government. $574 million. ADOL paid the loan back in 3 years. So since 2012 to date, the unemployment compensation trust fund balance sits at a record high of $740 million. So we borrowed $574 million in 2009, paid it back by 2012. And in 7 years, we've built that unemployment trust fund up to $740 million. Again, that's a true testament to the job opportunities that are available right now in our state of Alabama. JobLink. JobLink, as most of you should know, is ADOL's free job database, where employers can post their open positions on the website. At the height of the recession, new job orders fell to 3,740. In July of 2019, there's 18,273 new job postings on our website. Those are new just for July. There's over 35,000 open positions on this site in its entirety, statewide. So any job seeker with a couple of clicks of a mouse button can drill down and find out what the open positions are based on these employers posting those on our website. How many of us have been in conversations where someone would say, there's no jobs around here? How many of us have heard that comment? I want to see a show of hands again. Remember, this is school. Kevin, your hand wasn't as high this time as it was the last time. As I go around the state, I still hear people say that. There's no jobs around here. Yes, there are. You just got to know where to look for it. So if there's one thing I want to leave with this group today, and that is, write this down. joblink.alabama.gov. joblink.alabama.gov. That's the state website that we manage through our agency. It's got right now 18,273 new postings. There's over 35,000 jobs on the site currently. 35% of those jobs that we posted are about 30 days old. 30%. What that tells us is that employers, again, have confidence, Lisa, in the economy, and they're hiring people, and they're looking for people. And this is just evidence right here. But think about the comparison. Those new job orders fell to 3,470 during the height of the recession. And look at the new orders right now. It's unbelievable. The 3 in-demand jobs on our website continue to be truck drivers, registered nurses, and retail sales managers. Month in and month out, you may see a little bit of a change between truck drivers and registered nurses. But month in and month out, since I've been in my appointed role 1,825 days ago, those have been the in-demand, high-paying jobs that employers are looking for to fill. There's also one common denominator about those 3 jobs, and this is another misnomer. Those 3 in-demand jobs that I just mentioned, truck drivers, retail managers, RNs, they do not require a 4-year degree. They don't. All you need is some type of certification, a minimum of a 2-year degree, and you can walk right into one of these in-demand, high-paying jobs. That's the kind of communication that we send out through our agency to raise the awareness, to let people know where the opportunities are. We all know that we're working with a different culture right now. We have to do a little bit more hand-holding to share, provide, let people know where the job opportunities are. And it's the responsibility of the state workforce group, this group right here, to challenge and let people know where the job opportunities are. The next metric is the economic buzz. Business confidence tumbled to 31.5 points in the first quarter of 2009. In the third quarter of 2019, the business confidence index rose to 58.5%. And again, this speaks to, again, the confidence that employers have in our economy. And this is a national trend, but Alabama is certainly reaping the benefits based on what the business confidence index is. The last metric on our report card is the gross domestic product, or GDP. The GDP in Alabama declined to 3.9% in 2009. The annual GDP average grew in 2018 to 2%. So that's a tremendous swing. We at the Alabama Department of Labor, we also announced, with our July number, July 2019, another feat that's not indicated on my graphic. Job growth in the state of Alabama reached 2% compared to United States job growth, which was at 1.5%, which means we're 0.5% better than the job growth in the whole United States. Do I need to repeat that again? Ron, I'm gonna take you out to lunch, okay? You're the first one out of the gate. Yeah, job growth, 2%. I mean, look at how it compares to how it dipped during the height of the recession. It's a complete turnaround. Complete turnaround. And for us, the state, to be ahead of the United States growth rate is remarkable. It's just truly remarkable. Let's go back up to the first metric. I talked a little bit about the unemployment rate. The unemployment rate, again, is at 3.3%. Lowest it's ever been in the history of the state of Alabama. 64 out of 67 counties had a decline in the unemployment rates over the month, from June to July. You look at the same time period when you judge it compared to over the year, every county unemployment rate has experienced declines. Right now, we've got a range of counties' unemployment rate that range from Shelby County being at 2.1%, being at the all-time low, to a high of 7.5% that we see in Wilcox County. Every county in the state of Alabama's unemployment rate is below 10%. Some of you have heard this story about when ADOL embarked on a very aggressive outreach campaign where we held job fairs in 5 rural counties. Those 5 rural counties had traditionally high unemployment. Double-digit unemployment was kind of the benchmark. And so our staff got out and went to those counties, and we held job fairs. Because in my opinion, there were a lot of people in the state just didn't know about the resources that fell underneath our umbrella. So I told the staff, we have to take state to the people. And we did that. So we held job fairs in 5 rural counties, because I've been to automotive manufacturing facilities. I've been to just about every employer around in the state. It's a little intimidating when you're going out to apply for a job because you got your best wares on, you're trying to present yourself the best way you can to get the job of your dream. It's a little intimidating. I've gotten intimidated when I've applied for jobs. I don't know about y'all. I was shaking at the knees when I applied for this job. I'm still standing. So it's a little bit intimidating to go to a location. So we decided to have these job fairs in high school gymnasiums. So we knocked down that barrier in these 5 rural counties. Knocked that barrier down because they were familiar with the high schools, because that's where they walked up and down the halls at. We documented what those unemployment rates were at the time we had a job fair. We documented what those unemployment rates were after the job fair concluded. Wilcox County, and this is where I'm going with this story. Wilcox County at the time, in August of 2015, had an unemployment rate of 16.1%. Now mind you, the state unemployment rate was 6.9, Jackie, 6.9. 16.1, not only was it the highest unemployment rate in the state, but it was the highest unemployment rate in the whole southeast region. We held a job fair there in Camden. We recruited 40 employers, and there were about somewhere between 350 and 400 job seekers that came through. It was a thing of beauty, where we were able to connect job seekers up with the employer. 16.1%. If you're wondering what 5 counties we went to, Dallas County, Lowndes County, Perry County, Greene County, and Wilcox County did the same thing. We repeated it. I'm happy to say that in October of 2017, every county in the state of Alabama unemployment rates dropped below double digits, and it's remained that way since then. Wilcox County unemployment rate in October of 2017 went down to 6.6%. Now mind you, it was 16.1% in August of 2015. I bring that up because I got an alert this week. It was a 4-year anniversary of the job fair that we had in Camden, Wilcox County, where we went in when the unemployment rate was at 16.1% 4 years ago. And now we reported that the unemployment rate in July of 2019 for Wilcox County is at 7.5%. So we slashed that in half. You wonder how did we do it? One was the job fair. Two, part of that outreach strategy was we have to make sure we educate everybody in the state on what the opportunities are. So we went out and put up billboards. We're doing commercials, social media, print. So if somebody's looking for an opportunity, we want to make sure we push them to where the opportunities are. We want to push them to the career centers. We manage 50 career centers around the state. And I've got some of my career center managers for East Alabama in this room right now. So just for a second, raise your hand, my career center managers and staff from the career center. Y'all look at them, they look good. They're gonna be doing my evaluation soon, so I had to put that out there, okay? But this is a report card right here that shows where we've been since the recession and where we are right now. It's been truly remarkable. The next thing we'll talk about is workforce development. Talk a little bit about workforce development. You know, in years past, Alabama has always been known as a heavy textile state. Heavy, all around the state. Over time, that particular need has gone overseas. So the challenge right now is we've got to reskill the workforce that was so heavy and dependent upon the textile industry to the new industry, which is kind of heavy automotive. And that's one of the challenges that we have right now. Again, in the past, heavy textile, and currently, is heavy automotive, aerospace, high tech. Very heavily dependent upon that. So these are the conversations that we have in our workforce group to put together a strategy on how we get more people in the workforce to match the jobs that are coming to the state. I have to give a shout out to my fellow colleague and cabinet member, Greg Canfield. Secretary Canfield right now, in my opinion, he's on fire. It seems like everything he touches, it turns to gold. Every week, there's announcements that come out of the Department of Commerce where a new industry is coming to the state. If it's not once a week, it seems like it's 2 or 3 times a week. And I'm talking about companies that are coming in that are hiring 200, 300, 400 employees at a clip. Now I'll tell you all this, that's a very competitive environment. Very competitive. Being able to recruit companies to come to Alabama because all the other states are looking at those same companies, wanting them to come to their state. I can only imagine how competitive it was, Ron, when Greg Canfield and his team was out trying to recruit Honda to come here. I can only imagine. How competitive that was. But Greg Canfield and his team had the right strategy, convinced them that we had the right workforce that can satisfy those job descriptions. And Honda Manufacturing is right here, among others. And we've been benefiting, the state has, by having Honda Manufacturing located right here in the state of Alabama. Competitive world, so wow. There's a kind of a sidebar conversation that Greg Canfield and I have. There's 22 cabinet members, and he and I call each other the bookends. Greg is responsible for the industry recruitment coming to the state of Alabama. He also talks about expansion with existing companies. ADOL, we're responsible for training the workforce, along with our partners at AIDT. We're the bookends to make this thing go, and we're excited about the opportunity. So again, heavy textile we were years ago, and now we have to shift that focus and make sure we have our people skilled up to meet the in-demand jobs that are coming to the state. I pulled this off the website just yesterday, okay? And then I learned today a new announcement was made. And that is the economic impact that Honda Manufacturing of Alabama has made on the state of Alabama. You heard Mike talk about it today. A $12 billion economic impact. These numbers sort of represent what it looked like back in 2014. But the impact of Honda manufacturing on the state is huge. $12 billion. Think about that. 4,500 employees. And I will tell you this is another point that goes back to how competitive it is to recruit companies to the state. A company would not decide to invest their $1 million and sometimes $1 billion operations anywhere if they didn't feel like the workforce could satisfy filling those jobs. They just wouldn't do it. That's a testament to the workforce here in the state of Alabama, that these companies are coming because we have the workforce to satisfy what they're looking for. And we all should be excited about it. You've already heard Nick Moore mention the Governor's Success Plus goal, the attainment goal. And I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to Jeff Lynn, who chairs the Success Plus committee. And that is, we've got to make sure that we recruit, develop, train our workforce to generate 500,000 new jobs in 6 years, 2025. And that's any type of credential. It could be a minimum, as a minimum of a 2-year degree, a certification or a certificate to meet the demand of all the jobs that I just mentioned that's being recruited into the state. We have 6 years to do it. And I'm excited about the plans and the strategies that we have right now for us to achieve that. You heard Nick Moore talk about the goal and how now the goal is being chopped up. So you have 500,000 people that we're looking for to have some type of certification or credential. We took that number, we looked at each of the 7 workforce regions. So each one of the 7 workforce regions has a goal that they're going to be charged with to make sure we meet the demand. Because we know each of the 7 workforce regions, they're all different. Every region, all 7, they're all different. So their metrics are different across the board. And that's the roadmap that's going to drive us to achieving the goal. We need to be somewhere between 45 and 50% of our workforce that has some level of credential, again, to meet the in-demand jobs that are coming to the state. And I'm confident, again, that with the leadership of Jeff Lynn and the executive leadership team and the board, we've got the right strategy in place for us to achieve that goal. I love formulas. This is my formula. So Jeff, you can't steal this one, okay? SP is Success Plus. Success Plus equals education. We need our education partners through technical college, post-secondary, and our 4-year institutions to participate in our attainment goal. We also need training. The training consists of apprenticeships, OJTs, work-based learning, and our WRA partners. All that equals, guess what, Jeff? A skilled workforce. A skilled workforce. What do y'all think? I spent a lot of time coming up with that. I'm proud of it. Yeah. And no, I didn't spend the night at a Holiday Inn Express, okay? I didn't. I came up with that on my own. But that also ties everything into what we're doing in state government to make sure we achieve the goals that Governor Cave Ivey have sort of charged us with in terms, again, matching what we know the needs are coming into the state. Some of y'all have seen this graphic. I thought it was worth repeating. This poses as a challenge in our workforce. This is a skill gap survey. ADOL sent out surveys to 3 sectors: manufacturing, utilities, and construction. And the question was asked, what do you see when you hire new people? What are the issues? What are the things that you're seeing in new people that you hire? And we roll that up into what we call a skill gap survey. We've got about a 72% return rate on our responses. And I'll tell y'all, this is alarming. How about attendance? Attendance, if you rate and rank, was the biggest issue, challenge, that these 3 sectors said that they see once they hire people. And I make a point by saying once people have been hired, because this has nothing to do, this graphic, with people not being able to successfully get hired. We're not talking about people that didn't clear the background check or drug screening. This chart speaks to people that have been hired. And I've been in HR for a number of years. And I know how difficult it is to try to find the needle in the haystack. So you found the needle in the haystack. You hire them. Then all of a sudden they don't show up for work. You know how difficult that is? Because we know that there is a cost associated when you separate an employee to try to start that cycle all over again. You've gone through the process of vetting all these resumes, all the interviews, and you settled on a candidate. Hire them. Then all of a sudden, they don't show up for work. I've been fortunate enough that I am a part of a couple of national labor groups. And when we meet, this is the conversation that sort of garners a lot of conversation. This is not unique to just Alabama, so I don't want to completely alarm you. Every state is struggling with how do you deal with this? How do you deal with this? We talked about earlier, we're in a different culture right now with our young labor force. They need a little bit more hand-holding. I'm trying to be delicate as I say that, really delicate. Because it seems like some of our young workforce, they don't have the same desires, passion, and initiative as this group here in this room. We have to do something to get their attention because they know employers are out there hiring. And let's just say they get hired, and this is not a broad brush example, but they know employers are hiring. So they'll get a job at XYZ company, don't show up for work. They know they can go get hired down the street by the other employer because they need somebody too. This young workforce, I don't know the secret sauce. If y'all know the secret sauce to turn this around, y'all please tell me, because I don't have a clue. Apprenticeship? Thanks, Josh. That's a start. I really can't get my arms around this. What'd you say? Is that an amen? I don't know. I'm talking about attendance, following directions, time management, communications, and critical thinking. These are people that have been hired, and we're struggling with this. I don't know where we go wrong. I don't know where we went wrong. So I've got a couple of questions I'm going to ask the group. The first question is, how many of us had parents that forced us to do chores when you were young? I want to see a show of hands. I want y'all, now y'all look around, see how many hands are up. Yeah. So, y'all were forced to do chores, right? All right, next question. How many of us in this room have kids? Here's the third question. Do you force your kids to do the same level of chores as your parents forced you to do? Let me see a show of hands. Now look around. The question is, why? What changed? Your parents, along with mine, forced us to do chores. Y'all have kids, so why aren't you forcing your kids to do chores at the same level as your parents forced you? I'm listening. Jackie, you got an answer?
My child would probably say he does more.
Yeah. My point in this, we talk about employability skills, we talk about soft skills, we talk about building responsibilities. You can't put it all on the employer. Can't put it all on the employer. We have a responsibility to do what we've got to do. Because a lot of times, our young workforce, they're with the employer. They're in school a lot longer than they are at home. So ask yourself the question, why don't you? Now, I've got 2 kids myself. I used to do everything I could do to get their attention when they would step left and when they should stay the course. I tried a lot of different things in terms of what I call corrective action. I did find out one thing that I did would get their attention when they would steer left and when they should go stay the course, when they were staying in the house. I would turn the Wi-Fi off. Yeah, I never tried that. Try turning the Wi-Fi off. You know, with the advent of technology and the reliance on the Wi-Fi, you can get their attention if you turn that Wi-Fi off. They'll do whatever you want to do. You can take the car away from them, keep them from going outside. Can't go to a friend's house. They get used to that. Turn the Wi-Fi off. So my point is, what do we do? What do we do to turn this thing around with our young workforce to teach them more responsibilities? Again, this is troubling. I was in Florida a month ago, sitting down with a workforce development group for the state of Florida. To my surprise, maybe it didn't, I'm sitting there watching this presentation, and they got on employability skills, and they got on soft skills. And they put a slide up, and guess what? It had the same similar graphics as what you see here in the state of Florida. Same thing. The percentages were off like a percent point, but it was the same thing. My point is, everybody's dealing with how do you turn this around. I even thought maybe, this is a conversation I had with some educators. Would anybody in this room be opposed to offering soft skill training, employability training as a requirement before you graduate from high school? Yeah. Because a lot of times in the workforce, in terms of what we see, by the time they've left high school, they've already developed a lot of bad habits. And it's hard to teach and turn those bad habits around by the time they get to us. This has to start early on. And Josh, I know you get a lot of requests about what should be added to a curriculum. So don't shoot me, okay? But that's just a conversation. How do we get the attention early on that these are some things that we see once you get into the workforce that needs to be turned around so that you can be productive and experience a good quality of life and stay on a job for a long period of time. So a stat the other day that talked about the number of jobs that someone would have before they reach 35 is about 9 jobs before 35 years of age. Wow, whew, that's a lot of jobs. That's a lot of jobs to have, to have worked at before you're 35. I'm just throwing that out there. And if anybody wants to message me later on to give me the secret sauce, the silver bullet on how we turn this thing around, I am open to listen and open to do something about it because we've got to figure this out. I mentioned that there's 75,000 people that we documented as unemployed. These people, a percentage of them, are facing barriers to get into the workforce. That's why the training programs at AIDT and the training programs that we offer through our career centers are so important and so vital because these people are looking for opportunity. And we've got a lot of strategies at ADOL to see how we can turn that around. We put focus on getting people that was looking for a second chance into the workforce. I'm talking about people that have been previously incarcerated. Been really successful with that. We launched that initiative 2 years ago. Really went really well. We also launched an initiative to get people with disabilities into the workforce. To that point, in October of this year, we'll host our 3rd annual job fair for people with disabilities. 2 years ago, we launched that initiative in Birmingham. It was a thing of beauty. We successfully recruited 100 employers. And at one criteria, and this is a message to the employer, if you're going to participate in an ADOL sponsored job fair, you have to have an open position to fill. in order to participate. So we successfully recruited 100 employers, and there were over 1,200 job seekers that showed up with a disability to the job fair. I'd never been in a room at one time with that large number of people with various disabilities. Some were physical, some weren't. And people got hired. Then in year 2, we took that same initiative up to Huntsville. And this year, on October the 3rd, we'll have it in Montgomery at the Crampton Bowl Multiplex Center. We've already started the marketing and recruitment of the employers to see how we can connect people with disabilities into the workforce. We named it the Governor's Job Fair for people with disabilities, and the governor is really excited about being a part of that initiative. We're talking with employers to see and ask them to sort of revisit their job descriptions. Because I know some employers, they've got job descriptions they haven't even looked at in forever. And so now with a tight labor market, we want them to go back and look at those job descriptions. So some of those jobs that they've had filed for years, where it said it required a 4-year degree, may not necessarily need that. Because if you look at trends in our market, it doesn't need that. So we're challenging the employers to go back and revisit that and make changes when necessary. And I know people are a little bit skittish about hiring people with a disability, hiring someone that's been previously incarcerated, hiring a veteran. But I wouldn't dare ask them to make that a blanket statement, because there are people that would love to have those jobs. They're just looking for a chance. And again, those are conversations that we're having with employers. What questions do you have? I apologize, I won't be around at the end of today's conference. So if there's any specific questions anybody wants to ask me, I am open to hear. Any questions? Well, if there's no questions, thank y'all for having me.